Hey everybody, I'm Michelle. I work here at City Church in Over the Rhine. I am joined today by Chris and Catherine Marlin, and we are at City Church OTR. We have 4 values, and so we are talking today about one of those 4. Our 4 values are family, mission, presence, and formation. And so for the next few minutes, we're going to explore what it means when we say we value mission. And so mission, big buzzword, everyone likes to talk about, whether you're a church or a business, organization, everyone's got a mission. It's a big hot word that people like to use.
Yeah.
But what does it mean at City Church when we talk about mission?
Yeah. Well, and everybody has one. Everybody has a statement. We have a statement. Jesus, we always talk about how we want to cultivate the kind of family that Jesus introduced to the world. So even family being in our mission statement. Mm-hmm. But I think the way that it plays out is interesting. So churches have missions, but also individuals have missions. And like each of us have a mission in life, and it's different. And so on one hand, we want to, as a church community, live on mission for the good of the urban core of Cincinnati primarily and the world. But then also we want to empower each other on individual missions. So I think one of the big passages that really influenced me a few years ago was in Ephesians 4, when Paul's talking about how Jesus gave, not gifts, but he actually gave people to the church. Mm. And he says that these people, apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers, they exist to equip the saints, so equip the church to do the work of ministry. And that word right there, I feel like, and in previous church experiences, that's not been my experience. The point of the church is to gather people, and you should invite your friends, and then I, the pastor, will do the ministry, which is a model. It's just not the model we're choosing. We really love that word that Paul used there, which is equipping. Mm-hmm. And so how do we equip? How do we empower other people? Like, we all have spheres of influence wherever we work or play that, frankly, I probably can't reach. Mm-hmm. The accounting department of Procter & Gamble, but an accountant that goes to our church likely can. And so I think that's a big deal for us, is like, how do we, can I use a business term, like decentralize? How do we decentralize the church? Mm-hmm. How do we actually empower a bunch of little missionaries all over the city rather than just one large gathering? And we had a church in Vegas that did a lot of these big events, invite people there. Mm-hmm. And I remember I didn't even have to work out when I lived in Las Vegas because I was constantly carrying a snow cone machine.
Perfect.
And all these block parties, and it was so fun. And I just don't think that would be most effective here. And so we're taking a little bit of a different model. How do we equip other people in the city?
Yeah. And we do. I mean, we see this already in our community, people being empowered in their sphere of influence. Because when we think about it, you are spending most of your time in your life, in your job, with your family. You aren't at a church event. And so how can we empower each other to live mission day in, day out? So there's Steph, who manages Popcorn Shop in OTR, and she is pouring into the kids that work there. Yeah. And then Megan, she is walking around the neighborhood with her dog Ruby, and she's talking to every person that she encounters.
Which is a lot, because Ruby attracts a lot of friends.
Yes, she does. So we see this already in our community, and we could name a bunch of other examples.
Yeah, I can think of families who foster, or think about Charlie, who shared the gospel with her classmate Haley, and so now they both come to church here, and just the way that people have lived on mission here is really cool. So I think a little selfishly as church staff, I love that this is the method we're taking, because it shouldn't be on our staff team to be the ones doing all the ministry. We need the people in our community to be on mission, and so much value on individual mission. And we do still see that there's a mission for the church as a whole. Right. So Catherine, what does that look like? Where do we see the church fitting in, with this idea of mission?
Yeah, so we went through a church planting assessment, and they asked us, what's your 10-year vision? And we're like, man, what is our 10-year vision? And we thought, okay, if we leave Cincinnati, we would hope that the people would be sad that we left, the church as a whole, not just us as individuals, that Cincinnati would be sad if City Church OTR left.
Yeah, whether you're Christian or non-Christian, or you believe, we would hope the whole city would mourn a church that was doing good in the city has left.
Yeah, and we think of Jeremiah 29, just the example of that we want to seek the prosperity and the welfare of the city. And so, we hope that OTR looks different and is better off because of this church being here.
Yeah. And I think, even Jeremiah 29, which is this great passage about actually make homes in Babylon, like plant gardens, get married, invest in the place. And I remember reading that and thinking they were forced to live there. How much more should we who choose to live in this city, which is actually really wonderful, probably way better than Babylon. And how much more should we really invest in the city? And I remember even the team that first planted this church was sort of a combination of creatives, and I know we met in the business school. And so both of those communities were really on our heart. Is there a place that there's big business and a thriving arts community? And we did a road trip through a bunch of cities. And I don't know if you remember, we walked out of Coffee Emporium in this new cool neighborhood called Over the Rhine. And I remember that was my moment. When I walked out, I was looking around and I was like, oh, I think I could give my life to this city. I think I could, Jeremiah 29, I think I could invest in this city in that way. And I love even now when I walk out of that same coffee shop almost every week, at some point I look to the right and you can see this unbelievable, it's your favorite mural in the city.
Beautiful.
This
mural.
Beautiful mural, such a creative thing. Next to the backdrop is the Kroger headquarters, a Fortune 100 company. And even that image there, I'm like, this is why we chose to be here. This is the clash or the combination of both the creative sphere and the business sphere of which we wanted to reach. This is the kind of city we wanted to invest in.
Yeah, it's a great city.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be on mission here. So what are some of the ways that City Church, so in this scope of church mission, what are some of the ways that we're really walking that out?
Yeah. I think talking about an individual mandate is we're empowering people, we're equipping people. I think on a church perspective, it has been very much let's see who comes, or let's see what we have, what do we have to offer. And it's been really fun, especially in the last year, to see we have a lot of urban missionaries that attend our church. We should probably start an after school program for kids in the neighborhood. I don't think that would have been a plan 2 years ago because we didn't know that's who is going to be here. Or, we're sitting in this crazy building that is in the heart of the city, more building than we need right now because it's just it was a crazy story of how we got it. And so when we got contacted for where are the homeless in Over the Rhine going to sleep this winter, we're well, that's in our hand. What do we have? We have a building that is warm at night. And so I think we're really approaching it that way of what do we have? Who's here? What gift or giftings do we have in our church? And let's steward that well. Let's make sure that we're actually seeking the good of the city and not forcing it. If making snow cones isn't working, let's not do it. But if it is, then let's do it. And I think we're doing an imperfect but a pretty good job at saying, okay, this is what the Lord has gifted us with. A lot of creative people, a lot of great musicians, some pretty strategic people, and then a lot of people that love the city. How do we make that happen? How do we actually seek the good of the city in that way?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's cool to see the way that the individual mission and church mission start to overlap and that line starts to blend because it's us tapping into the individual giftings and missions of people who are part of our community and being able to use that and the after school program, man, that's a natural way for us to partner and for the church to be on mission alongside people who are living out their individual mission, which is really cool. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you guys. This is great. Excited to be on mission together. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you soon. Hope you will check out the other videos we have on each of our 4 values.